Hey everyone, welcome to Immigration Lawyers Podcast, the Immigration Lawyers Podcast, episode 224. Getting close to the end of the year. We did a lot of fun stuff this year. Before we start, we gotta explain what this episode is, which is a recap of agency updates and news, where I track it on various websites, but in particular the LinkedIn page for the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox, which I recommend you join because a lot of great information is posted there, shared there, including job opportunities and a lot of other cool things. But also check out the Instagram page, Immigration Lawyers Toolbox on Instagram. That has hundreds at this point of snippets of videos and clips about all things about immigration practice, the law, business, all this other stuff. It's really helpful, and it just goes in your feed once a day. In your Instagram feed that you can watch that to help become a better immigration attorney, more successful business person on that end. Before we start, I also want to remind everybody that the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox magazine issue 3 is out. Issue 4 will be coming out soon. It's being finalized. Issue 3 is really awesome because it's really focused just on O-1A visa special edition. It can help a lot of people who want to get involved in that area or people who have been doing it for 20 years. There's going to be information for everybody in there. And I want to thank the sponsors, in particular DocuWise, who's been a supporter of the podcast and the magazine. DocuWise is the all-in-one forms program, office management software, and a bunch of new stuff that they do every single day. We have regular quarterly videos with them updating about what's going on with their software. But go to dockwise.com/immigration-lawyers-toolbox, and you'll get an extra, 10% off their annual plan. So check that out. Use the code Immigration Lawyers Toolbox after you go to that page. I also want to thank other supporters, including Visa Business Plans. Marco Scanu is a great colleague who's been a business plan writer, not necessarily an attorney, that has been helping immigration lawyers and people getting visas for a long time. So that's something that it could be a great resource to help you be able to, prep those business plans for O1s, for E2s, for EB5s. If you go to visabusinessplans.com, is the website there. I have interviews with them. I'll do another one talking about, successes he had, things he's seen in the business plan space. Definitely a company, a vendor to check out for immigration law. Also, if you are interested in learning about immigration law in the sense of the marriage cases, which is the primary thing I do in my firm, K1 visas, of course, that's coming out. Really detailed stuff that holds your hand through the process so you get exactly what you need to know. Plus, office hour follow-ups to catch up and ask questions because it's impossible to go through everything. But as issues come up, we have office hours as far as part of the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox training program. Just email me at info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com and let me know you're interested. We also have this library, vast library of short videos, kind of like Kurzband in video format that we're just updating. It was a paid feature, but in the new year, I'm going to make it into a free thing for immigration lawyers. Email me about that so you have you on the list once the website's updated and set up. Tons of CLEs in there, a lot of cool stuff. So that's all good. And just one note, we had a recent interview with Robert Waiver, who's like the top immigration lawyer, I think, on LinkedIn when it comes to just content that's valuable. It's a lot of fun. Definitely check it out. Episode, I think, 222. Plan on having him as a regular monthly guest to talk about stuff. And check out the video. He's wearing a nice, Christmassy outfit. It's really fun to see. Having said that, let's just jump into what we're going to talk about, which is just covering different things that happened since October till now. One thing that's been constantly going back and forth is the issue with visa, diversity visa or green card lottery. The lawsuits are happening. Curtis Morrison's, I think, doing a hardcore lawsuit to try to save the people who have been lost out because of all the travel bans and issues that came up. Apparently, on October 4th, a DC judge rescued 7,395 of the diversity visas from expiration. Is interesting because there is a statutory deadline for obtaining the visa of like September 30th, but judges have clawed that back in the past, and it seems like it's happening here. I'm not sure what's happening. Updates on that might be in this list, but it's a fight that continues to be ongoing. Speaking of court, the feds were also forced to pay $1.2 million in attorney fees after migrant kids released the order. They messed up, so lawyers got some money after that. Some disturbing things: Google, Amazon, and Microsoft have taken advantage of a commonly used but little-known tool to quietly enter dozens of contracts with ICE and CBP. So we're seeing the tech companies continue to work with ICE and CBP on some stuff. I can see some that's good because, as just you got to have systems for agencies. But at the same time, the stuff happening to ICE, a lot of it is, tracking of American citizens. Frankly, that's disturbing for me. One of our colleagues, Roland Lechner, says, I'm beyond thrilled to announce that I've joined Melman and Jacobs as a partner. Congratulations on him. We're seeing a lot of movements within the immigration space. Lawyers are, moving around a lot because it's, we see the unemployment rates going down and a lot of demand for jobs and all this kind of stuff. And what one thing that's happening was a lot of immigration lawyers working at bigger firms or even smaller firms are doing laterals and moving up, becoming partners. A lot of job opportunities to open up. So it's an interesting thing to see what's going on in the market. And hope your employers don't get mad, but hey, test your value in the market and see what's going on. The special edition 01 special edition visa, we had a lot of articles in there. We're interviewing all the people who did articles. One was by Joseph Tsang, who's a colleague here in Southern California. There's a lot of different stuff. He's also a sponsor because he helps other immigration attorneys who, all of a sudden have an influx of cases who can't handle it. He has a back office that can do it. He also helps you, through cases if you've never done it before. So it's a really good system he has. And we did an in-depth interview about the 018 petition in particular, what you could be titled self-petition, not directly self-petition, but how to do it, that aspect. So definitely check out the interview. It's episode number 213. Okay, so I'm scrolling through to see what kind of news stuff comes up. There's a lot, but I don't want to go too much in detail. I guess one thing I want to mention here, because as I'm scrolling through LinkedIn, a clip of a video came up with Monica Roisman. Monica was a colleague of ours, unfortunately past tense in Florida, who passed away very recently. Her article is actually coming up in issue 4 of the Immigration Lawyer Toolbox magazine. So it's neat that part of her lives on in her experience, as well as these videos. And it's one thing I wanted to document, and I haven't told people I interviewed this, but it's really good because most immigration lawyers do not have any video presence. So by interviewing them and just having their personality come through as much as possible, what you'll see is in 100 years from now, this video is going to live on. Their family member is going to find this and see, oh wow, that was this person who was in my my bloodline, how they acted, what their causes were, what their career was. And so I'm glad we captured this on video. I think it's the first person I've interviewed. It's actually a second person. I think John Roth. He was a EB5 broker analyst or something like that. He passed away as well. So we've had, life moves on. You get older, you see more and more of this stuff popping up. It sucks, but I mean, it's just the way it is. But we have a lot of different clips and videos popping up. A lot of different. You can check that on LinkedIn or on Instagram or on the YouTube page. Frankly, I'd recommend subscribing there. But a lot of job openings. So I keep going through posts for job openings. We have Jonathan Mayer, who's an attorney returned to DHS as a general counsel. I guess a semi-pro immigration guy, but we haven't seen much good stuff coming out of DHS so far, unfortunately. A lot of job opportunities, man. This is kind of crazy. Just constantly job posting. I'm trying to find some law to get you on. One thing is that we had an interview with a colleague about his specialty being I-9 verification and stuff. So definitely, if you're interested in that space, and it's an important space, there's a lot of business. Check it out. The interview. I'm trying to figure out the episode number or something like that. But Bruce Buchanan is the attorney. If you probably type in Bruce Buchanan into Google, but the interview's going to come up. I really go into how to get involved in I-9, what to watch for, because it is a business subset, and his focus is essentially on that. I mean, you can make a niche practice just on I-9 verification. So definitely check it out. Now, one really good federal decision that came about, which there's ways around it that hurt immigrants. But one problem we have with the travel bans is once they're issued, the embassies would not schedule interviews for those people subject to those countries. But as it's become clear in the Immigration Nationality Act and the statute, it says the bans prevent people from entering, not from visas being issued. So federal judge finally said, and a couple had before, but it says United States cannot stop issuing visas during travel bans. You still have to issue the visa because, for example, when we have these 2-week COVID travel bans that existed, they have to give the ability for a person to get the visa and then go in, go in a third-party country that's not subject to a travel ban, wait it out and be able to enter the United States, not just preventing them from getting a visa, which would then preventing them from trying to be admitted, or do the thing that is go to another country and wait it out. But what some embassies will do is they just, won't schedule the interview. So if you can't get the interview, you can't get the visa too, and they'll say, we don't have time, we don't have enough people, whatever it is. Although practically speaking, although the rule says they should do this now, but practically speaking, especially in cases like in South Africa, we're not really seeing movement happening. We didn't see it in India as well. India has a huge backup. So these kind of problems still plague us, but I'm glad they at least will issue the visa. This is supposed to. It's a very important matter that affects our cases. Now, one thing I want to go back to an interview we had with interviews in general for the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox. Check out the most recent one with Roman Zelechenko talking about legal marketing on YouTube and social media. As we're entering 2022, a lot of your game plans have to be, how are you going to get business, how are you do marketing. It's really important to, as much as possible, plan out new things. You can't just keep doing the same thing because it gets stale and stagnant. And frankly, and if you're successful at stuff, it's always good to try new stuff to keep things fun and keep your brain moving. I also want to, on a different note, I'll reference, we did an interview with Benjamin Lau about O&A for gamers. It's a big thing that's popping up. Really interesting interview. Check it out, episode number 214. Gamers is a big niche right there for you to get involved in for business. It's just kind of, get that money, because it's, some people just focus on singers. We have people just focus on athletes, or maybe some people on swimmers and runners. But why not, or baseball players even, but why not focus on gamers? We already have another colleague right here, a good friend of mine. I haven't talked to her in a while. I got to reach out, who does just gamers as well. But these niches do exist. So when you think about business, be careful not to think you're going to do everything at one. That's a recipe for disasters many times when you spread yourself thin doing everything. You could niche down the businesses there to make a good living off that. So definitely check that out. All right, a lot more interviews. One interesting interview is in episode number, I can't remember what episode number it was, but our colleague Brian Green, who's involved in federal litigation, immigration field, interviewed as part of the podcast Adam Rose of Murty Law Firm, and they had a really good decision that came out of their lawsuit. Because one problem we have for these employment-based cases that are petitions by the employer is that the beneficiary, the foreign applicant, is not able to, defend themselves and jump in there and say, hey, listen, I'm a stakeholder in this. Please let me represent myself. And they got a good decision that helped them out there. So definitely check out that situation. Okay. We have a memo right here by DHS. I think it's about worksite enforcement, saying deployment of mass works operations sometimes resulting in hundreds of orders. We'll have to focus pretty well. We're doing that a lot. It seems like they're going to do better on that. I'm not going to go more into that. I posted it here on the DHS ending mass worksite enforcement rates. It's like, we got to stop doing this kind of crazy stuff. Also want to plug Nadine Heights, who's a regular contributor. She has a Facebook page called Technology for Immigration Practitioners, TIP. Definitely join that page. She's really good at automation and technology, which is part of my 2020 resolution, is to more and more automate everything as much as possible. I have an associate now, and all of a sudden her hours are getting really, jacked up, and I don't want her working that much. So we're like, okay, how can we figure out what we can automate to lessen the amount of attorney time being spent on cases that are not needed, so the attorney time can be focused on client interaction, education, and marketing, and case management, but just stuff that could be done automatically. Why not do that? She talks a lot about that stuff, and she has a great upcoming article. It's really going to find it interesting. So check out the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox magazine #4 when it comes out. But also check out the video, her website, her practitioner. She has services she provides too. So it's really cool stuff. She's not a sponsor, but I really like supporting her because it's very important. Now, we have had these travel bans between Canada and Mexico for the land border. It's opening up so visitors can come out. There was a memo on it. I didn't read the whole thing, but apparently, you do need to be vaccinated, but it seems like that's opening up slowly but surely. So that's really good. Now, interesting is U.S. doubles number of 5-year bans on travelers from Canada. So typically we have people from Canada have all sorts of issues, but CBP has generally been flexible in letting overcome it, just come in and not being hardcore, or just allowing to voluntarily withdraw admission requests and all that kind of stuff. But they become really hardcore on CBP and issuing 5-year bans. So with your Canadian clients, it's not as easy going as it used to be. So be mindful of that and prevent that from happening. One note is that here we're going history. We're looking at October, but there was a thing that popped up jumping ahead where the visa bulletin for January is issued, but then it's been taken down for the last couple of days and it's not there. Let me see if it's still the case. I'm recording this at 5:50 a.m. Los Angeles time, Pacific time. I've gone back into waking up really early, been up for like 2 hours, but let's see, visa bulletin. Let me see if they still have the thing off or not, the January, because that may mean they're going to be retooling stuff or some funny business is happening, or maybe it'd be glitch. Well, it is back. as I'm checking right now. I haven't gone through the numbers to see if anything's standing out, but we have a lot of current dates. That's not bad. So it is back. A lot of people were kind of putting conspiracy theories on that means something. I'm not sure if it is. I haven't looked into it, but thought I'd mention it. Now, EOIR announces new appellate immigration judge, former immigration lawyer. Thank God we got a former practitioner in there. That could be good or bad, so we'll see. All right, so going through a lot of stuff. One thing I do want to remind the students for the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox, those who've bought the Champions for Freedom course, we do have office hours regularly. It's the third Thursday of every month. Lively discussion, and we keep recordings of it where you can access. A lot of good conversations happen during that time. I love it. I look forward to office hours every month because I love talking about immigration, especially nitty gritty of it in a private setting. I'm probably going to open this up to like some sort of paid system. If you're not a Champions for Freedom member, like the full course, if you want to join those calls to join it, email me if you're interested. If I see there's enough demand, then I could open it up and have a second call or something. Because I like to keep the group small, no more than the 5 to 8 people, because it's hard to have discussions when it's too many people. But if you're interested, let me know. We could figure out some way to get more people in because we love talking about immigration law. If you're listening to this, you're into it too. Andrew Wilson we did an interview with him. He's a colleague in East Coast about O1A original contribution category, which kind of goes to the EB1s as well. Really fascinating information. Check out the article in the interview. Really big help on how to answer that kind of question. Let's see here. So another thing is you got to be mindful for clients that you have from Hong Kong. There's been a lot of stuff popped up. The Trump administration is trying to consider Hong Kong as part of mainland China for the purpose of the visa bulletin. I think that was undone. But they've also created a thing called deferred enforcement departure, which comes with an employment authorization document for those. It's a lot of political stuff, asylum kind of stuff happening. But be mindful of that. I don't know all the details on how to handle this kind of case, but if a client comes up and they have a passport from Hong Kong, immediately jump up as options they may have. This may be one to take care of. USCIS also had an announcement, teen non-immigrant status or victims of severe forms of trafficking. They updated the policy guidance on that, so check out the policy manual for that one. Okay, advanced parole. So I did a video, and you can check it out about applying for advanced parole for cases. I just make it a policy. It's rare that I don't do this. That's a unique situation and a reason. But if you're filing for adjustment of status, file for advanced parole, whether even if it's an employment-based case, even the person doesn't have travel requests or stuff. Don't bring it later because they might just come up and say, okay, I need it now, like months later. And it's hard to get emergency advanced parole, even expedited advanced parole. It's gotten really hard. So definitely don't wait till the last second. Now, there's this one strategy which I don't know if it's going to work. I haven't tried it before. I was thinking about trying it this one case. I got to make a note to remember to do that. But one colleague says he doesn't, when he files for adjustment, he doesn't do the EAD, the work permit request, with the advanced parole. So he'll do the EAD if they want the work permit to come faster, for example. And by not doing the advanced parole, he says the work permits come faster. I haven't seen it. I've heard other people talk about it, but that may be a tactic if there is, urgency to get the work permit, which there usually is, to maybe just not do the advanced parole request and see if it comes faster. I'm going to try this in this one case. I mean, we're not going to file for, it's going to be a while before we get the answer to this, but it's good to test it out. And like another thing is testing out whether to do the I-129, the K3 filing with the marriage case, the U.S. citizen I-130 and filing I-129 for a K3. Although K3s rarely, if ever, happen, maybe it speeds up the I-130. There's all this kind of stuff that's possible. Extra cost for clients potentially, but something to think about. Now, want to mention that Russia hasn't added to the list of homeless countries in the sense that they don't process immigrant visas in that country. And the cases have been transferred to Warsaw, Poland, which creates the headache of having a client have to travel there, and between COVID and all this kind of stuff, as well as the extra cost and getting a visa to the EU to be able to visit there. But be mindful of these Russian cases. They have to be doing that kind of stuff. It's just the way it is. All right, so we have, let's see, a lot of different videos. And I could talk about each one of these, but I'd rather just not bog you down in discussions I've had. Just check out the clips page for Immigration Lawyers Toolbox on YouTube, Instagram, and on LinkedIn. Now, one thing I've been seeing is processing times have been gotten out of control, especially for LPR case I-130s. California Service Center has quoted like a 3-year time span. I typically would see LPR marriage I-130s get approved in like 18 months. I had a consultation with a person who filed themselves. It's been 2 years still pending disaster. But I remember having a consultation like 3 months ago with a person who got their LPR I-130 approved in 3 months. So there's a huge inconsistency happening. Yeah, when you're a green card holder filing I-130, although the case is current, the processing for that I-130, especially if you're doing consular processing, is a nightmare. Now, on a new note, advanced parole is a program that humanitarian parole, not advanced parole, is a program that not everyone uses, and I haven't found it to be a reliable program. But more and more people need it because of what's going on, COVID and the disaster overseas. 20,000 plus Afghans applied for humanitarian parole, and apparently the office only has a few people. Only a couple hundred have been approved, and there's a high denial rate because the standard has gotten really high of what they'll accept. So be prepared for that. I mean, a lot of people daily probably emailing you asking, "Hey, I want to do humanitarian parole, this and that." They've saw it online. I mean, if they need it, do it. But evidence at heart, and we had a colleague, Greg Siskin, who posted on Twitter. I think it was like a RFE or denial that listed what their standards are. It was really tough. So be prepared for that. Try to find it. I wish I'd saved it. That could be a reference for you. Now, I do want to plug a colleague, Ryan Knight, Knight spelled Knight. Found him on LinkedIn. And one cool thing he does is he reads the AEO decisions, all of them, and posts recaps of them, like an H-1B and I think O1 category, all this kind of stuff. So find Ryan Knight, RyanKnight. And when he posts these trends based on AEO decisions, they're long, read them. It really makes you a great practitioner knowing those and not having to read them yourself. Saves you a lot of time. So definitely, check that out. Great colleague support that he's providing. Immigration judge lawsuit raises disturbing case management FOIA issues at EOIR. That's underscored. Let's see what's going on. 24 new IJs appointed, including 4 ACIGs and 2 unit chief IGs. More appointments in terms of diversity. That's good stuff there. EB1A trends, again, Ryan McKnight looking over the EB1A decisions. EOIR dumps case quotas for IJs. That's good. The quota system that they have sucked. Let's see, Greenberg, Torg, partner among Biden's latest U.S. attorney picks. That's interesting. I think it was an immigration lawyer, the guy. Class action lawsuit challenging denial of H-1B visas to market out analysts settled. So this is very important. Barry Appellate and Bao submitted this. It's settled a lawsuit with USCIS regarding whether market research analysts are really a specialty occupation. This has been a big issue. I'm glad we got some stuff on that. The H-1B thing's major issue. We're popping up during H-1B time. There's been updates. They undid what Trump was going to do, where if you got paid more, you get priority H-1B. So just be mindful of these changes happening and prepare for the H-1B cap season about to start. Let's see what's going on that we should talk about. Look, one of our colleagues and a guest on the show, Michelle Mendes, authored by California Legal Immigration Clinic, as everyone knows, 6th edition of AILA's representing clients in immigration court. Thank you, Michelle Mendes. She's really hardcore and supporting migrants' rights. So that's really cool that she's out there. All right, let's see what else we could talk about. Sorry to be singing, but there's just so much content here, and I want to pick out the best ones. Greg McLaughlin, he's an immigration attorney in Washington State. He's big on filing. He's the I-864 sponsor lawsuit guy. So when do a family case, marriage case, petition and do the I-864, and they get divorced or separated, there's a requirement that the petitioner sponsor support the person. He says, another dispatch from the esoteric world of I-864 enforcement lawsuits, the 11th Circuit has joined a growing line of cases holding that common law defenses are not available in lawsuits to enforce the I-864. In this case, unclean hands, anticipatory breach, and equitable estoppel. Because what happens is a lot of times the husband, usually the husband, says like, oh, the wife just married me for a green card, so the contract is void, and that kind of stuff that doesn't fly. This joins the 7th Circuit holding that the duty to mitigate is unavailable to sponsors. So the sponsor remains on the hook, even if the I-864 beneficiary is allegedly a bad person, 11th Circuit, or allegedly lazy and unemployed, 7th Circuit. So that's a response we got to get on. It's very important that the petitioners be mindful of this, or sponsors. So one thing I have for marriage cases, I have it in my contract of the responsibilities. So later on, they know it's spelled out to them, in addition to them signing the I-864. And also when we get joint sponsors, we have release that they signed that specifies that their awareness of the responsibilities involved. Now, the release looks scary, so if you read it, you'll be, oh my God, they're not going to sign this. But people typically sign it, so it works. But you got to cover yourself. You don't want more and more people are being sued, saying, "Hey, you didn't tell me about this," even though it's in the I-64. The way they made these laws puts you in a difficult position. But it's really important to be on top of that. Now, Daniel Horn, our colleague, lists on LinkedIn is the list: U.S. Customs Border Protection, NAFTA, L1 checklist and guidelines for presentation CBP. CBP, they've updated NAFTA's name. Now it's called MSC or something. I'm not sure what it's called, but they have a checklist, and he has on his page for requirements for L1 at the port. Although it's more and more of a headache to do the L1 at the port, especially I don't think they're even doing renewals anymore at the port. But just something to look at, know that exists. USCIS expands credit card payment pilot to the California Service Center. Very important. When they added the credit card program for lock boxes, one of the first payments I made was a mistake where I paid a premium processing fee with a credit card, and the case came back with very embarrassing. I realized, oh, the credit card system only works with lock boxes. They separate out the service center account when you do premium processing or the like for the California Service Center. So that was a little embarrassing. Luckily, it didn't go too bad. But these mistakes do happen. Ooh, okay, let's see. Advanced parole. I don't want to talk more about that. So keep talking about this and that. One thing is, if you are interested in federal litigation, keeping up on it, our colleague Kevin Gregg, and it's Kevin A. Gregg, apparently it's a Kevin C. Gregg as well. But Kevin A. Gregg has a podcast, which is the direct competitor to this podcast called Immigration Review. But I have him on every month to talk about the 2 or 3 of the top cases. So definitely listen to his to get a more in-depth analysis of it all. But if you want to touch up on the top stuff that it's funner to talk about, or I think it's interesting, or he thinks it's interesting, definitely check it out. It's really good. Now, I wanted to mention Wasden Bannis law firm, who just was joined by Jesse Bless, Ayla joining them. So the powerhouse trio, Jonathan Wasden, Bannis, and Bless. They say, we happy to announce USCIS has settled the case of Shergold v. Mayorkas. The agency finally agreed to follow in law and grant L2 spouses the employment authorization incident status. They also agreed to erroneously blocking certain qualifying H4 EADs from auto extension. There's more to this. USCIS did issue an update. Definitely read it. Essentially, L2s and Es get employment authorization incident status after this, not before this. So it'll be violation beforehand. But we were seeing, EADs for dependents take over a year. It's just nuts, just complete nuts. And H4 EADs have a different system. Definitely read it. This is so important decision happened. It was really messing with people, but definitely check it out. TPS holders spurned Trump era decision barring green cards matter ZRZC challenge. So the challenge ZRZC, that's a whole thing I don't want to feel getting into, but essentially whether TPS is status or not, and whether you can file adjustments, a mess. But it worked out against us, especially because the Supreme Court decided against it. All right, let's see what other stuff we have to talk about. So yeah, definitely check out the H4 E and L spouse EAD memo by USCIS is going to become very important for your practice if you're doing this, employment-based kind of cases. EOIR nixes in-person ID component for online filing. Well, that's nice. Made it a little bit easier for that purpose. Let's see what else going on. Switching consular adjustment. So I already did a talk about this, but be mindful when you're filling that I-130, or I-140. If you're requesting it to be with consular or for adjustment of status. If you do adjustment of status and later it's consular, then you have to do an I-64. That's the last thing you want to do. We just did one for a case where the client had filed I-130 on their own and did a set adjustment, even though it's consular processing. And so we did an I-24. We're requesting expedite. We call in and they're like, you're not the attorney of record. Well, I guess we already have a receipt. And so after an hour hold, they hang up, call back. And then another person said, okay, yeah, you're attorney of record, that's fine. So it's something going on with the I-24 where there's always problems. So just be mindful on that. If you have the I-24, the form itself, although badly designed, it is confusing. It's going to be, after filing, hours of work to get it done. With calling and complaints and stuff like that. So it's never easy. And I was we're talking about this on Facebook, and some people have been filing lawsuits because of a year delay after the I-24 approval just to get them to act. So this is a problem that's pretty consistent. It's the last form you want to use from I-824. Two notes. One is there's a third round of the H-1B lottery, which is nuts, and we had discussion about that with Bob Weber in the previous podcast. Another thing is with all the people that didn't show up because of the pandemic from foreign people to the United States, we have a $3 million workers. That's just billions of dollars. 3 million workers are missing from the labor pool. And so a lot of foreign workers couldn't come in, and it's really messed up the economy here. DOS has rescinded its top to bottom pandemic related guidance on prioritizing consular services. As a result, U.S. embassies and consulates will once again exercise local discretion in determining how to prioritize interview appointments among the range of visa types at their individual posts. And this goes back to what I talked about earlier. Although they have to issue these visas, even if there's a travel ban, they could say we're not prioritizing this, prioritizing that. So just be careful. That is a real problem. Justice Department settles with Cooler Production Company to resolve immigration-related discrimination claims. So a lot of DOS stuff happening for discrimination on that end. What else going on? Let's see, a lot of interviews. Damn, we're interviewing a lot of people. Damn, it's just really documenting the immigration law field. You know, in the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox magazine, one thing I do is I'm trying to track as much as possible who's moving to where, who's become partner, all this kind of stuff to keep really good data on movements in the space. We have a special page on there for that. So definitely check it out. The Build Back Better Act is something that, you know, Biden's trying to push through. There's a lot of components to it. There's the immigration component to it, but it seems like at least for now, the Build Back Better plan is on hold, and all the immigration reform, all the immigration laws updates, all that stuff's completely on hold. So no news coming on that front. At most we hope for is the agency updating stuff internally, or frankly, these lawsuits that happen. Now, one case that came about says justices won't review if using fake social security numbers is moral turpitude issue. This is interesting. But we have this problem that pops up a lot. Is using a social security number, you know, a problem or not? So a Mexican woman facing removal for using a fake social security number lost her case on Monday when the Supreme Court declined to hear it. So they said she used a fake social security number. It's crime of moral turpitude, blah, 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 creates removability. But we have a lot of cases, you know, where people use false social security numbers and want to adjust. And typically, historically, hasn't been an issue. Almost every lawyer says we just file this. It's not a problem. But, you know, in some states, it is a crime. So then it becomes like, have you committed a crime that you're not aware of? How to answer that question. I've been researching this issue. I haven't found a good response to what it is and what it isn't. And so that's a major problem. One note is there is a new travel ban on South Africa, 7 other countries in Africa. I'm not sure if this has been lifted yet or not. I haven't been following it too closely. Obviously, most of the countries on the list don't have mass migration numbers in the United States, and it hasn't. I do have South African clients, but usually they have UK citizenship and they're coming through that, or they've been in the UK or they're adjusting status already. So I haven't had to deal with it, so don't know it as much. I did one of my talks. I talk about lessons from 6 years of podcasting, so definitely check that out. I can't remember what I said. I kind of do stream of thought on this, and I can't remember what I talked about. So I'm interested in reading it and seeing it myself and see what I talked about and learn from it. A lot of times I get my best ideas when I'm just rambling, and I'll say something that I didn't think about affirmatively, and kind of just comes out. And I'm like, oh, that's an interesting thought. I didn't think about that. Interview waiver eligibility expansion. So this is really cool. They've updated this guidance so to give more interview waivers eligibility for different people. It's the different standards. For example, if you have had a petition approved by USCIS or its extension, it's possible. I had an email from a guy saying, oh, now that I'm doing interview waivers, can I get my O1 approved, in the sense that he was thinking that the petition is waived too. So we have a lot of crazy things being said about this, but definitely check out the interview waiver. Information has come up. This is going to be a big deal for a lot of people. If DOS actually, they say they do it with the update, but who knows if it's actually going to happen or not. Okay, so Liam Schwartz, one of our regulars, an editor, co-editor of, contributor to the magazine, says a new FAM change emphasizes to consular officers that they may not find an applicant ineligible for a visa on the basis of a criminal conviction arising from the applicant's own admission of guilt. If the conviction is later vacated due to the defense counsel's failure to advise the immigration consequences of pleading guilty, the guidance applies only to convictions that became final after March 31st, 2010, the date of Padilla v. Kentucky. So very important thing to know. Removal of visa. Okay, so we have federal registrar says removal of visa and passport waiver for certain immigrants, permanent residents of Canada and Bermuda. So that's the old thing that happened in 2003 F911. That's not new information. Let's see what else. We're catching up. We're getting to December now in these notes. New case law relevant to EB1A cases. Christy Turovsky, which is a colleague of ours in Oregon. Great, another person to follow on Instagram, Christy, Christy, last name Turovskiy. Does a lot of business, immigration at Hammond, Neal, and more. Says basically, quote, basically, as far as we're concerned, this was a dream client when it comes to EB1A cases. This should have been a slam dunk winner, and we don't say that often. It's a quote. She had a lawsuit. I thought more stuff here about comparable evidence, all that kind of stuff. But definitely check out her stuff. And check out Sabrina Damas too. She does where Sabrina Damas is immigration based primarily attorney. She does a lot more than that, but she's really big on immigration and federal litigation kind of stuff. She argues in front of federal courts. And so she really reads every decision, takes notes, just like Kevin Gregg. But we have a section, Immigration Toolbox magazine, is dedicated to her with their federal litigation corner, talking about all the cases that she thinks are relevant, to go over a synopsis of all of them. Okay, so Liam Schwartz has a post. The State Department's attempt to reduce delay and unaccountability of visa and passport services has been paralyzed by significant delay and unaccountability. This is a state government, a classified report of just bad stuff happening with these delays. NPP, which I don't get into too much, I think they're keeping it up or something like that. Reimplementation is happening or something. It's a mess. So yeah, it's a depressing situation happening at the border. Okay, now we have tests that have to happen if you fly into the United States within 24 hours. It's, finding a test to be able to get tested to come in, especially some countries, can be difficult. In the US, I'm not sure how that's going to happen that fast. So if people are traveling, it's happening. But this stuff's nuts. Now, for those using DocWise, DocWise Smart Forms 3.0 went live in early December. I haven't played around with it yet, but it's something to use. They're saying, with the Smart Forms 3.0, we shifted our focus from the process of preparing intakes to the finished product attorneys submit to USCIS. A packet assembly feature allows attorneys to combine forms and eventually documents in one single smart form, an automatic table of contents listing all the forms and documents, ability to share the completed package with one click, plus a beautiful redesign and simple navigator. Check that out. This could be interesting. Okay, so there's visa CVIS fee violations. Have you or know anyone who paid a visa or visa fee application after January 6th? They're probably trying to get some money back from that. So Semhar Bazian is from program director at University of Maryland. I guess that's their school person, is pushing that. So let's maybe do it, because a lot of people are getting really messed up with these fees. NLRB official okays union vote for immigration and firm staff. This is really interesting. So I just didn't realize this firm existed. And last time I went to the website, I think it's called, let me see, two bargaining units of this. So there's this law firm in Ann Arbor, Michigan called Hudson PC, which is like immigration law firm and consulting, is like two companies. And I looked them up, Hudson PC, and I saw their website, trying to figure out what's going on with them. But Hudson PC Immigration. And their website stopped working. Let me see if it's still there or not. Okay, I'm gonna go to their LinkedIn and I'm waiting for the load, and then visit website. And after this decision was made, okay, it's back. So it looks different than what it did before. I guess I'm looking at the other one, but apparently they do mass numbers to such an extent that they have a big enough team of legal writers and the like, where they got together and said, listen, we want to be a union. And the NLRB approved it, or is approved voting, or whatever that stuff is. I'm not familiar with union law and all that kind of stuff. And so it's going to be a big problem for costs for this firm. But it's kind of like, when I look at the website, they didn't have too many attorneys, but they're unknown. I mean, Hudson PC, they're doing a lot of numbers. I haven't heard them before, but they're doing big enough numbers and have a big enough team that they, file for union representation. So that was really interesting to see, the immigration world has this kind of stuff happening. It's fascinating. It's usually not something we see it pop up, but it's there. Okay, immigration groups merges seeks to reshape arrivals in the United States. A merger announced Monday between two leading immigration research and advocacy groups. Oh yeah, AILA joined with American Immigration Council. or not AIM, but the New American Economy. I didn't know who they were. It was the first time hearing of them, but they joined with American Immigration Council. And the reason why I thought they were AILA said that is because AIC or Immigration Council is like joined at the hip with AILA. There's a lot of funding and donation to have for AILA towards AIC. So I'm not really sure what this means. I don't know who an American Economy was, but that's going to be a big shift happening there. I've tried to have people for AIC here. They're camera shy, but that is the way it is. Despite Biden's union support, immigration judges left waiting. I thought the DOJ recognized the immigration judges union, which the Trump administration was trying to decertify, but apparently there's more to this saga. According to roll call, let me do a quick scan. I didn't read the article other than the headline to see if there's anything big. But the judges, are really trying to push to keep their union going, which usually I'm not too plus on the unions, but I think for immigration judges might be good because there's just so much of a mess that happens with regard to how the immigration judges are put in this really bad position. Although I get frustrated with them a lot, they're really, as an employee of the Department of Justice, they're in a really hard position, especially in the Trump administration, where they had quotas and the courts aren't that nice and it's too much overwhelming. There's not enough numbers. It's a bad spot. So maybe having a union there can help push back, create some sort of normalcy there. Justice Department settles with Microsoft to resolve immigration-related discrimination. I told you there's a lot of this immigration-related discrimination is happening that they're trying to resolve. Happy to announce the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox, it's just the corporation, had their multiple activity provider renewal for CLE in the state of California. So programs that we have here are CLE providers. You get CLE for it if we organize it. Just let me know. And a lot of other states reciprocate with California. So if you need those, we got it. Now, USCIS temporarily waives the 60-day rule for civil surgeons. This is really important. I've done videos on this because a lot of people don't understand what the requirement is for adjusting status and having the medical checkup for I-693 and the timetables. But one aspect of it was the medical checkup has to be at least within 60 days before filing or done afterwards. And they're waiving that requirement right now. So it's cool. USCIS sent its rule to expand premium processing for more benefits like I-765 work permits to the White House. So it seems like USCIS is finally beginning to set up the premium processing system that Congress had made statute, I think a year or two ago, that includes more options for national interest waiver, multinational manager, premium processing, I-765 premium processing. They already did increase the fee, but the service wasn't happening. But EADs could have that part of it. So that's really interesting aspect. Now, I did a quick thing I wrote about, let me see how many views I got. But New York City is the council voted to give non-citizens the right to vote in local elections kind of thing, which I was afraid of. And some lawyers on Twitter are like, no, this is offensive to say this, but I really prefer that this stuff doesn't happen, even though I like people being able to represent themselves, all this kind of stuff. Because they're going to mistakenly vote in a federal election, or at naturalization, the USCIS officer may think that this is voting violation and then deny it and put in removal for all that kind of stuff. So it's a scary thing. I really don't like people messing around with it because, as you know, false claim to citizenship is such a nightmare that I just want people to avoid it as much as possible. Yeah, cool. We got 1,200 views for my little thing. So that was nice on LinkedIn. Back when I was going hard on LinkedIn, I have stuff that would be like 20,000 views or something. It's kind of crazy, but just doing this stuff for marketing, I was going hard at TikTok and I was getting a lot of views. So then it got burned out. Then I was going hard on LinkedIn. As the discussion I had with our colleague Bob Weber is, it's sometimes best to pick one that you're really into and just go hard on that one and use it, and you'll be fine. Because it's hard doing all of them for everybody, and you may just work your way up. TikTok, doing videos got kind of boring, but TikTok's business. So for business wise, TikTok's better. I didn't like doing videos, but LinkedIn, I like the thoughtfulness of thinking and writing something. So my plan is to get back into doing LinkedIn writing, and then maybe just do videos based on what I wrote on LinkedIn on TikTok or something like that. But the content I put on LinkedIn is a little more cerebral. It doesn't fit as much on TikTok. So each of them had their own ecosystem. So it's really important to know and to be prepared for that. Let's see, we're reaching to end. We're on December 14th. I wonder how long we've been going. I didn't keep track of the time. Let's see what the news is popping up. There's a lot of international news happening in different countries and bands and stuff like that, but I haven't been mentioning them. We're going to do an interview. Actually, I just did a podcast about Canada, so that should be interesting, the previous issue. I do want to thank everyone who's joined the YouTube page for the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox. We hit 1,000+ subscribers. I just want to keep that going. Very intricate, detailed kind of topics and clips there. So it's a library of information. So definitely check that out. I think it's going to be very helpful. David Beer, I think it's Beer's last name, who's like at a think tank for Cato talking about immigration, had a post. He said USCIS approved 1,600 and 1,000 employment-based green cards in fiscal year 2021, plus State Department issued 20,000 plus immigrant visas, showing 182,000. The cap was 262,000, a difference of 80,000, not the 62,000 administration has been saying for months. Explain it as a post he did. I don't know more details about that. Let's see. Just these numbers don't come out right, so it gets really confusing what's going on. All right, so we have a lot of people hiring. It's just very interesting how much business is out there. We have a colleague posted, I think this was from Mendes. This email we just received from the Justice Department, USCIS. They've lost the I-829s. They had a case where they in litigation said we don't have the I-829, which is removal conditions for a EB-5 green card application. And it wasn't until they filed a lawsuit much time later that they admitted to losing it, but not bring it up on their own. And it's kind of, and his point was like, you have to sue just to find out you lost it. This is kind of crazy. So it's not kind of, it is crazy. It's just insane that this stuff's happening. So we've heard ICE announces I-9 flexibility. So mindful of that. We still have the USCIS flexibility with the adds time for responding to a denial or RFE, all that kind of stuff. So be prepared for that as well. And immigration court backlog tops 1.5 million cases. This is wild how crazy that these things are getting. So that's important. I just saw on my LinkedIn page, there was a post here that was posted that should have been for the business JQK page, my office page. My assistant posted on the wrong page. So you might see some stuff like that popping in. There's a post, article that came out, some got more information about it, but apparently they're saying a person working at a consular office was selling his passport to a Syrian at the airport in Turkey so he could board an airplane. They were caught. That's kind of crazy. Margaret Stock had an article with LexisNexis. Margaret Stock is one of our big colleagues in Alaska who does a lot of military cases, very famous. About the contact center, USA's contact center, how ridiculous the processing times of just picking up the phone are. So, it's just as you all know, if you call it in, how it's so difficult just to get to an officer because of the phone prompts that they have. But and then once they let you through, just being able to talk to an officer takes a while. And many times, I'll say 10% of the time, in the middle of our conversation, the phone drops. So I was spending an hour on the phone with them, going through everything. All of a sudden, the phone drops, and everything you're trying to do was for naught. And the last thing I want to mention is that USCIS has issued guidance for EADs for healthcare workers who are doing, extensions, and it's expiring 30 days. So that's that. There's ways to pre and process or expedite it. Just contact them. Important note for nurses, healthcare workers who want that. So that was it for this one. This is the last recap for this year. I'm going to go back and watch these videos I've done and just pick out some important notes to do an annual review of what happened in 2021. That annual review is probably to come up in 2022 in January sometime. But it was a great year. I want to thank everyone who joined us. We have a loyal audience. I get emails all the time. And email me if you're listening. Just let me know. Or on LinkedIn, contact me. It's fun to know that you're there. But we have a real community going. The magazine getting 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 plus reads an issue. So I know there's an audience there. The information is definitely helpful because I hear it myself. I learn like, wow, this is great information. So I'm glad we're putting it out there. We're going to just keep growing it. CLEs, courses, seminars, all this kind of stuff. Promoting you different ways to get you more business. We have a different website that's for directory listing for immigration lawyers. We're gonna get more into that. So, let's see, with the beginning of the year, we started with issue episode number 168. Right now is a 222 or set or something like that. So 50 probably episodes, if I do my math right. It's a lot of episodes. Well, good stuff. So a lot of different people interviewed, a lot of changes happening. A lot of changes and no changes at the same time. It's a weird system, but check out the magazine, immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com/magazines where you can find it, and reach out to me. And there's a lot more stuff I can talk about. But if you're listening this far, leave a review, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or on wherever you're watching this or hearing this. Like, subscribe. Put the plus sign, all that kind of stuff to help promote it so other immigration lawyers find it too. I get contacted all the time, people who like just randomly find this and are blown away, like, wow, there's so much content here. It's helpful. So it helps other people find it too and to support it as well. And it gives me, more, energy to keep doing it and do it more. Obviously, this is a business too now. I make money off it, but it's, I'm losing money with the amount of time I'm spending, frankly, because I could just practice law and make a lot more money. But there's passion involved here, and it passion feeds off passion. So contact me, let me know you're interested in anything or you're listening. All this kind of stuff helps to move forward. All right. Have a great new year. Happy holidays. God bless. And I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.